Welcome to Unity Inspired Living. Our community began in 1989 as a small worldwide Unity book study group, and we've continued the momentum as an ever-evolving spiritual community. Each Sunday, you will find dynamic thought leaders delivering inspiring messages and talented musicians sharing sound healing through their melody. Here, we embrace ancient spiritual traditions, universal truths, and emerging wisdom. Let's check out this Sunday message. We're so grateful you've joined us. Everybody, I see you here with us. I'm so grateful for all the words that were coming in. Serendipity at 1. Thank you for being here. Precious souls. Yes, beautiful music. We see you. We love you. Grateful to be here. And now I invite us to listen with open hearts as Christopher Brown shares his wisdom and beautiful heart with us as we talk about embracing. What is this reality that we're embracing? Thank you, dear Christopher. We appreciate and love you.
Okay. Embracing reality. Another way of saying it is returning to peace. Because if I'm not thinking, if I'm not in my story, I'm actually pretty peaceful. And so I'm going to take a look at what throws us off. How do we lose our peace and how to come back to it? My friend Isaac would say, all suffering is not wanting to have the experience that you're having right now. We don't like it, so we want to change it. And so, what if we were to relax and just be like water? Water doesn't have an opinion about whether it's going to get to the sea or not. It knows it's going to go there. Water doesn't resist rocks. It just moves around. It finds a way. Water doesn't get upset. It simply moves. So that should be a kind of like a signal, a sign. What if we were to be more like water? Basically, not to care so much, not to be so fragile, just to know that as water is so powerful, it always finds its way. So now, why do we fight? Why do we fight with reality? Well, that's easy. If you're becoming hysterical, that means it's historical, which means when we get upset, always it has something to do with our childhood wiring. When we're wired in such a way that as a little baby, we had one way to get our needs met until we discovered other ways. But the first way we discovered was the wham. Okay, so we cried, and we cried so loud that it really jangled our parents or whoever was around. It was just too much. And so we got our needs met. We cried. Parents came, picked us up, changed us, gave us food. So it works. Okay. And then we discovered smiling. And we're so cute that we also get a response too. So we discovered those two ancient wirings within our nervous system. And you can see when we get upset, normally, depending upon the upset, usually it's the wham. We come out swinging, we come out with anger. And when you think of a little baby crying, boy, that's a ball of anger and energy. Just rah! Change my diaper and now. Okay, so we want control. And as we grow up, our strategies continue to change and we become a little more sophisticated. However, the wham is there and we're quick to anger. We might not show it, but the anger comes up. When we start to explore what is that anger and who's causing that anger, is it the circumstances or is it the story? Now, I've done this before. I don't like rap music, but so many people do. So is it rap music or is it my relationship to the music? I was in Africa with Susan and we were out there and we were watching lions hunting this zebra. And immediately I'm sort of rooting for the lions because I could see their pride, they're hungry, they need a good kill so they can feed their family. So I'm kind of rooting for the lions until they start to chase the zebra. And boy, we're off to the races. And that zebra heads right for our Land Rover and comes right past. I mean, I could almost touch the zebra. And boy, is the clumping and the galloping loud, unbelievable. This is like this auric field of energy and life and death and survival, everything. It's like palpable. It's wave hits. I am shocked. And then the lions go by and there's this wave. It's a different kind of wave. It's not as intense. It's fierce, but it doesn't have that survival. So, make a long story short, something within me shifted. I'm now voting for the zebra. And the zebra keeps running and running and running. And I can see the lions are slowly losing the chase because the zebra is not slowing down. If anything, the zebra is accelerating and the lions are going, we're going to leave this one go. It's too much work. I'm tired. Let's go have a nap. So as I noticed right there, is who I was rooting for changed. My story about what was happening changed. Now, if you take a look at reality, the reality is zebras are good food for lions. Zebras are tasty. Lions need to eat. That's the reality. And reality doesn't have an opinion, doesn't pick sides, knows no right and wrong. Nature has a way of keeping an amazing balance without interfering, without a story about it. It just is. So, wow, what if we were to take a playbook out of nature and to take a look at how we judge everything? Whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, this should be happening, this shouldn't be happening. Whoa. That would maybe take a look at how we color our lives. You see, we don't see reality. We never have. Reality is outside of us. What's happening is reality is appearing within Christopher. It's the only reality I know, as it is appearing within every one of us. And every one of us, that reality is appearing within us, but it's being processed by our historical mind, which means that everything we take in is happening within us and is curated by the mind and comes back on a holographic screen within us and demonstrates that this is what reality looks like outside of us. We are the center of our reality, and it's curated for our benefit, for our survival. Every one of us has a different reality, as everyone has a different perspective on viewing any incident. If nothing else, we have two eyes. So who's right and who's wrong? It's always, there is no right and wrong. Reality is as it is. The only way right and wrong comes in is what our story is about it. So Susan and I go up and visit my sister in Santa Rosa. And as we drive up, there's a spot on the road that there's always traffic. We've been driving up there for 40 years. You can hear what's going to happen. We come around the corner, here's the traffic. Susan goes, damn, there's traffic. 40 years. You would think that after 40 years, you'd get it. There's going to be traffic. Prepare for it. Get over it. Oh, no, we're going to fight the traffic. Maybe we can get off. Maybe we can do this. And all the stories come up. Does this sound familiar? I know Susan's not the only one that does this. I do it in different situations, but we all have this habit and pattern. It's a story. It's an old story. I should be in control. I should be getting my way. There shouldn't be traffic here. I should have a clear drive all the way up. And also it should be sunny today instead of cloudy. This is our sense of control. And when we don't examine it, and we don't really look at it, this is what causes us suffering. It's not the circumstances. It's who's sitting in your chair. That's who's causing the problems. It's the way the mind interprets and curates reality for you. Oh, okay. Well, in Zen, they have the story of the two arrows. And what that means is the first arrow is the circumstances. There's traffic. The second arrow is the story that comes along. The second arrow we shoot ourselves unconsciously. And the second arrow is what really causes the suffering. We'll take this to Susan's example. The first arrow is, there's traffic. I'm not upset. I'm prepared for it. And that's not good or bad or better or worse. I mean, that's just a reality. I have come to accept and embrace that reality, that if I'm going up to my sisters, I'm going to need to embrace or make it okay that there's traffic. Susan, I'm not going to say is more or less advanced. Her pattern has not allowed her to get beyond that. This is out of her control. This isn't a conscious decision to get pissed off because there's traffic. It's a natural uprising. It's part of our history. That upset is the second arrow. It's the story that there shouldn't be traffic. First arrow, traffic. Second arrow, it shouldn't be there. That's what causes the suffering. That's what brings us out of our peace. And that's what basically shortens our lifetime over worry and anxiety and all of the rest of that stuff. So is it really the circumstances, or is it the problem really our story? Now here's a wonderful thing to remember. This is one of your go-to things. If I'm feeling anxious, I must be in danger. If I'm feeling anxious, I must be in danger. Is that true? No. Sometimes, or maybe yes. The thing is unless we really look at it, the first time the body starts to feel anxious or fearful, it thinks it's in danger and it goes full blast. Now, I know you know about smoke detectors. Smoke detectors, I have them all over in my house. They're code, and they're all hooked together. So if I'm working in the garage and I'm doing some sanding, light sanding, but it's enough to put the little dust in the air, guess what happens? The cats are terrorized. Susan's terrorized. The whole house is terrorized. And she comes screaming into the garage. What the hell is going on here? And there is no smoke. There's no danger. It's just loud. The whole nervous system is being reacted. This is that wah from a little child. And so the smoke detector is there to alert us that something's going on, but it really goes overboard, oftentimes. And that's a good thing because it keeps us safe. But at the same time, how do we return to peace once we've had our nerves jangled? I mean, it's like, okay, I open the garage door, it dissipates, boom, the alarm goes off, we all go, well, don't let that happen again. And it's still, there's that residual anger that's there. How do we come back to peace? Well, good thing you asked, because I have the 3 questions, the Christopher Brown questions, that brings us back to peace, that stops the habit, that stops the trance that we're in. that stops that historical reaction to what's going on. First question, am I in immediate danger? First question, am I in immediate danger? Because if I'm not, then I need to pause and look what's going on. If I'm in immediate danger, I call 911, I get the heck out of Dodge. There's other things I do. And also the body will know what to do if you're in immediate danger. But if I'm not in immediate danger, maybe I ramp it down a little bit. Maybe I open up the garage door. Maybe I do a few things. The second question is, am I going to get through this? Because when I look at, can I get through with this? You take a look at history, and history informs us that, yeah, I've made it through a whole bunch of stuff, a whole lot worse than this. Yeah. And the third question is, and this is how we pull back the power, what's the next obvious step to take? What is the next obvious step to take? And you can see that by doing that, by asking that question, it becomes very obvious. It always is obvious. So let's look at Susan. And Susan represents me, every one of us. We all have our Susan moments. So here comes the traffic. Ah, dang. Ask the question. And I did this with her. I said, close your eyes, Susan. Recall that time on the freeway when you do that. And she said, okay, I'll do it. I said, Susan, ask the question. Are you in danger? Is this really a problem? No. Very reluctant, no. But there was a little smile there. She knows, it's like, I'm being caught here. Okay, next question. Are you going to get through this? Yes, I'm going to get through it. Okay, is it a little uncomfortable? Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to get through it. Okay, last question. What's the next immediate step? Well, we can't get off the freeway. We're stuck here. I guess it's to suck it up and just be uncomfortable. Or we could just talk together and have a wonderful time. Yeah, that too. But, you can see when she, that last question, it became so obvious what she could and couldn't do. There were no real steps other than to, okay, I'm going to need to endure this. That was the next step. And then you can ask, what's the next step after that? Well, we could play a game and we let creativity come in and inform us. I was out in the desert. This was years ago, and way out, 12 o'clock at night, probably at least 10 miles from any paved road. Not a light to be seen, no signs of human activity other than the road that was built, and it was a nasty road, so it wasn't well traveled. Park the car, go out under the stars, no moon. There's a bit of a breeze out, it's chilly. And I walk out into the night. I feel very vulnerable and alone and in awe. There's no armor, no sword, nothing. And I walk farther out to the point where I'm becoming a little bit worried about not being able to find the car in the dark. And so I stop and take a good look around and go, okay, am I at peace with this emptiness, with this darkness, with this awesomeness of the Milky Way above me and the quiet of the desert? And the answer was, yeah, I'm pretty, but I'm a little on guard. And then that's when I heard the first coyote. And then the second one. And then there was a bunch of them, and they were talking back and forth, and there were a couple sort of packs talking to one another. And I'm going, oh, yeah, right. And so the hairs are standing up. And I'm going, oh, do they know I'm here? Are they going to eat me? Well, I know enough about coyotes as no, they're little dogs. They're not that hungry. They're looking for a rabbit or they're looking for something or they're communicating. I'm probably okay. So I ask the questions. Am I in immediate danger? No. Am I going to get through this? Yeah. What's the next step? Get back to the car. Okay. So I gently start walking back to the car, not making any sounds, just being part of nature, blending in with nature. Nothing to see here, guys. I'm not a rabbit. So I'm walking back to the car and I see the car come into view and I'm starting to feel, oh, I'm feeling good now, until I hear this sound. And it's like, oh, I don't recognize that sound. What's that? And now, am I in immediate danger? Well, maybe. Am I going to get through this? I think so, but I don't know. What's the next step? I'm going to pretend like I'm a really big something, really big, and I'm going to make some noise. And so I started to puff up and puff my oar up. I start growling. And that feels good because I'm doing something. I'm sort of taking back control. And I sort of stomp through I'm stomping through, I'm not fooling anybody, but I'm feeling good. I'm stomping through the brush. I get back to the car and I'm looking around. I can't see a thing. I don't even know if it was real or not. But I get back to the car and I'm going, wow, imagination. That smoke detector was going full blast. It really had me interested. So I honor my fear. I honor the smoke detector. I honor my reactions. That's all of reality. I honor it all. And I get back into the car. I feel safe. That's where I'm going to sleep tonight. Whatever it is not going to break through the glass to get me. And so I was left with that feeling, that story. So how do we return to reality? How do we return, not to reality, but how do we return to that peace that is within reality? Well, we ask the questions, we break the trance, we question our story that's telling us, that's frightening us. I was never in any danger at all. That was very obvious that throughout the whole thing, but the smoke detector was going off so loudly, it was jangling my whole nervous system. So I'm going to finish with the last story, and that's about the Taoist butcher. And in Taoism, which is what we're talking about really, is the way of the Tao. It's Wu Wei, the way of the current, flowing with the current. When you pet the cat, you pet the cat in one direction. You don't ruffle the fur and pet it the other direction. Doesn't feel as good. You comb your hair a certain way. And this butcher, this was way back. This is before Christianity. It's a Bronze Age, and so their knives were not steel. They were not very strong, and so you don't go cutting bones with a bronze. You don't keep slicing and chopping at bones if you expect it to last a long time. And when he was asked, how long does a knife last in butchery? He said, well, a good butcher can keep a knife without breaking it for maybe a year. Probably not, but maybe a whole year. I've had this knife for 19 years. So what does that tell you about how I use the knife? It doesn't tell me about the knife. It tells me about how I use the knife, my skillful means. So as a butcher, if I find the spot between the joint that narrow little spot of cartilage, I can take the knife and I can slice through. It's effortless. And the joint falls apart. I don't need to chop and to hack it and to risk my fingers or to risk anything. It may take longer. It will take practice to find that middle way, that spot between the joint. And if we look at that in our life, how do we find that middle way? That middle way where we're not overreacting to a situation, but we're not underreacting either. The smoke detector alerts us. What's our reaction going to be? And how quickly can we return to peace? The sword is used to cut through illusion, to cut through to cut through the stories that keep us imprisoned. True spirituality uses that sword to cut illusion, to question all of it, only all the time. Am I in danger? When we're at peace, we don't have to ask. We can feel it. We're there. It's only in danger that we really and can do our work. Because in the midst of danger, that's when we can turn around and see what's important and what's really happening. And so take the workshop. We're going to go over this again. It's important. So I leave you with when we're hysterical, it's historical. It has something to do with our past. I leave you with the 3 questions. Am I in danger? Am I going to make it through this? And what's the next step? Asking those breaks the trance, allows us to explore. And with that, I'm simply going to let this rest because I know you've gotten a lot from this. And I know Susan thanks you for listening to her story. So here's an affirmation for us. Today I vow to drop my fight with reality. I choose to wisely question my stories about life. And I reclaim my power by asking, what is the next obvious step? And so it is.
And so it is. Wowee. I love how the wisdom theme was in there today earlier with, I can't remember, was it the prosperity blessing about circulating wisely? And then you brought up the wisdom. Yeah. Wow, so many great things. Let's look at some of the notes, and then I'm going to get to everybody's comments here in the chat. So remember, go ahead and drop any questions, comments, insights, whatever. We're open to all of it. I like how we have the questions. Well, I like first acknowledging the first arrow is, oh my gosh, the traffic. And then the second arrow is that story about, well, it shouldn't be like this, because that's where everything starts off. And I think one of the most important things you said is if it's hysterical, it's historical. I love this because it's so true, because what I'm going to get hysterical about is you're going to be like, what is going on? What is just traffic? Right? So we don't all have the same pieces of our psyche and our heart and our souls that get activated, right? And that's what, makes us a lovely, beautiful mosaic in this world. Wouldn't that be something if we all had the same activation? Be a lot. So that part is lovely because it is an indicator. I always sort of call that your divine alarm clock, but it is really nice to sort of name that. If it's hysterical, if there's that heightened kind of activation, that's the divine alarm clock saying, look at me, just pay attention, because there's something historical here that we get to work with. We get to heal. We get to do something different with if we so choose. And so I love the way you give the option of how do I choose differently? How do I get back to peace? And these three questions that stop that trance, stop that hysterical reaction. 1, am I in immediate danger? 2, am I going to get through this? And 3, what is the next obvious or immediate step that I can take? And sometimes if it's nothing, we just have to sit here in this traffic. Well, then how can we create something different in this moment and move into creativity and curiosity, right? About, okay, now what? And figure it out from there. So yeah, ask the questions, break that trance, question our own story about, well, why should this be different? I like doing that. For some reason, I'm thinking about this time I got stuck on the freeway by trying to go from Jacksonville, Florida to Savannah, Georgia. This was 15 years ago, and there was an accident on the 85, and there's always an accident on the 85. And for 5 hours, it just stopped. It got to the point I was like, well, we're thirsty. Well, we have to go to the bathroom. Like, what now? And you just get to really notice, well, when you really have to stop and just accept the moment, you can make up all kinds of things. You can make up worry and anger, or you can make up, well, we were supposed to be here because, we're supposed to be late for whatever reason. And, we can always make up a story. But what story do we want to make up about it? It could be a really great story.
That's choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we're supposed to arrive late for some reason. Maybe we're supposed to leave at 5 hours late because we're passing this person that's going to need us or whatever, we get to choose the story. So why don't we make it a good one or an exciting one? It could be anything we want. So, however, I do recognize that is sometimes easier said than done. So blessings to Susan, because you said, she represents a part of all of us. And that is absolutely the truth, right? Because we all have that spot where we can get that historical reaction, activation. And so, yeah. So thank you for using that example, because we can all understand that. I love the smoke. I love what you said here, because this is a really great way to say it and think about it. The smoke alarm is jangling my nervous system. And can't we all lean into that and understand what that means when our nervous system gets so amped up and so anxious, and we're making up the stories, and there's all this narrative, and the nervous system is just like about to, volcano explode. And so we can understand when the smoke alarm is jangling the nervous system, that it does take practice to go, oh, well, my nervous system has gone completely offline. I'm off the rails right now. Now let's come back to these questions. Am I in immediate danger? But I like them because they're simple. They're simple enough for our amygdala brain in that moment, because it's our amygdala that's activated in that moment. It's just like fight, flight, fight, flight. There's problems. So our amygdala needs something a little more basic than our prefrontal cortex can think things through. But when we're in that state, it's that historical activation. So it's great to have a very simple grounding question. I love that. I so love that, to bring us back to peace. Am I in immediate danger? Okay, so I did like the sword conversation. Let me go to the chat and see if there's any comments coming in here. Kat says, love the 3 questions. Will not be able to come to workshop. Hysterical if historical. Yes, love that. We will miss you. Michael J says, the story that feels good. Yes, let's pick the story that feels good. We get to choose what story we want to, loop. If we're going to get in a loop, let's make it a good one. Luinda says, I love your message. It offers tools to deal with anxiety and fear and discontent and anger. Yes, indeed. It does, right? How to return to peace, ask the questions, break the trance, question our story. I love the you don't slice and chop the bones to preserve the knife. And if the knife is going to last for 19 years, how is it being used? Isn't that a great visual? It really is. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Yeah, it really is. Great story. Do. Jennifer says, thank you, Christopher, for your stories and questions to help bring us back to accepting the peace that is available to us in the present moment. Yes, this is how we're planting ourselves in presence. And in presence, we can come back to peace because those questions do bring us to the present, right? Am I in immediate danger right now? I love your story too about the am I in danger, Meg? Go back inside. Am I gonna get through this? Yes. What is the next obvious step to take? Yeah, they're simple, but we all have Susan moments. You said that. I love it. It's true. It is true. So, um, in peace, we don't have to ask. In the midst of danger is when we can do the healing. That's right. Because when we're in peace, nothing's activated. The historical isn't activated. So we're just, flowing through. So when we have um, that historical activation, that is the moment in time. So we can start looking at it that way too. Like, oh, that is my divine alarm clock. It's giving me the opportunity. I get the opportunity right now to do something different with this. And that is the healing. That's the healing piece. So be grateful. So we are going to, yeah, you said reclaim my power. So we are going to move into the workshop in about 20-ish minutes. And it is flowing with what is. And I know it's going to be a deeper dive into this conversation and not one we want to miss. So I'm going to drop the link to the Zoom workshop in the chat, and it's also on the website, unityinspiredliving.org. Everybody is welcome. So remember that you can share the link with anybody, friends, neighbors, anybody you can think of that might want to come in for this deeper dive. Remember, everybody, I have seen you all here today. I want to let you know what a blessing it is to be together in this space. I see your names and your faces if you have a profile picture, and I'm just sending you love and peace and blessings and grateful for your presence here with us. If the message supports you, if our community supports you and nourishes your life, we invite you to participate in that wise circulation. And I loved that today. I'll post that in the connection group because I really appreciated that, Jan. Thank you. Your generosity allows our space of music and wisdom and healing and connection to continue to thrive and support everyone. So thank you for that. Those donations and those contributions. We're grateful. You can find out where to donate on unityinspiredliving.org. And thank you for being part of this community because this is truly a co-creation. So I'd like to close with our prayer of protection. And I like to let you know that I offered the prayer of protection as it was intended as a benediction, a blessing spoken over you. So not just simply words we recite, but a truth that is affirmed, that you are held and guided and never, ever alone. So I am going to share my screen with you. And it should pop up for you on your end where you can see the prayer of protection. And I invite you to let it land. Receive. The light of God surround you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. The mind of God guides you. The life of God flows through you. The laws of God direct you. Peace of God abides within you. The joy of God uplifts you. The strength of God renews you. The beauty of God inspires you. And wherever you are, God is, and all is well. Amen. Ashe. Namaste. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you, Christopher Brown, for saying yes, for bringing us such a special, potent, real pliable, um, tangible message that is so anchored, it so anchors us. So thank you for you and always being the a spiritual explorer, because I get that sense from you all the time that no matter where you're roaming and in your travels and everything, you've always had this lens of serving and seeing the truth of God, of spirit, and how this works in our lives. And then you bring
Yeah.
it to us. So thank you.
Mm.
We're grateful for you. Very grateful for you. Oh, thank you everybody for being here as you um, move through this week with greater presence. Just keep opening up and noticing the sacred um, woven into everything, and these opportunities to circulate wisely in everything we do. So thank you for being here, everybody. Blessings. We're going to meet into the Zoom room. I see lots of love coming in, Christopher. Lots of gratitude. Wonderful talk. Thank you, Christopher. And yes, so lots of gratitude being poured in here to this space for our dear beloved Christopher Brown. Thank you for saying yes. Everybody tuning in with us this morning, thank you for being here, and shine on, bright ones. We love you. Peace, blessings, love. See you next week.